For whatever reason, I've been neglecting animated films as of late. I can't seem to get the motivation to watch them, and I feel like I'm missing out. But I can get back to them anytime I want. It's not like I'm scared of trying new things or anything.
Jesus!
Yeah, for the past few years or so, I've been scared to get out of my comfort zone in terms of films I like to watch. I mean, when your comfort zone is gritty, hyper-realistic 70s new Hollywood character studies with a little Rocky Balboa on the side, can you blame me for being a little apprehensive? But I'd probably say my favorite animated film is The Lion King or The Incredibles. Those are the only ones that got any kind of emotional reaction out of me, and even watching them again, they still do. But past that, I guess the SpongeBob movie was pretty good. But I've been getting flack from my friends and other random people on the internet to pull my head out of my ass and actually watch some of these Studio Ghibli movies. So much so that they've actually sent me videos roasting me until I watch at least one of them.
KlueLuke is the opposite of a burger, which is a loser. Yes.
Luke is an idiot. You haven't seen a Ghibli film. You haven't done it. You have them on Blu-ray. You are supporting something you don't even know. What if it's bad?
Man, I can't even think of an insult dumb enough for him to understand.
Clue is a dumb doo-doo head stinky butt McButler.
Opposite of a burger.
I'm not gonna recover from this.
Idiot. Dumb doo-doo head.
Is a loser.
You haven't seen the movies.
Like, he's the reason there's instructions on shampoo bottles.
Let's go.
So, according to all of my targeted ads that I get on my social media, this film actually had its 25th anniversary a few days ago as of me writing this. And it being the oldest out of these three, I watched it first, and I'm glad that I did. I'm gonna start with the issues that I had so we can end on the things that I liked. Firstly, the English voice acting isn't spectacular. Like Billy Bob Thornton and Claire Danes, they weren't bad, but they didn't really fit their characters that well. That's not to say they're bad voice actors, they're industry professionals. It's just some of the lines caught me off guard and pulled me out of the story a bit. But not all the voice acting was bad. Some performances like Keith David and Minnie Driver were stellar. Keith David in particular is in the very exclusive club of deep-voiced legends with such members as James Earl Jones, Lawrence Fishburne, Ving Rhames, Jeremy Irons, Michael Clark Duncan, and some of the old guys like Boris Karloff and Vincent Price, who I wouldn't say has so much of a deep voice as an evil voice. But whatever, give it to him. I do have all these gripes about the voice acting, but the animation and the plot are so good it doesn't even matter. You can nitpick and complain about certain things all you want, but after watching the film, the main thing I took away was how amazing the experience was. Nothing was confusing, none of the characters felt shoehorned in or annoying to watch at all. I'm a little bit glad that I didn't watch this when I was a kid because some of the imagery was a bit intense, but that's what I liked about it. The initial scene where San cleans Moro's wounds after her first encounter with Lady Eboshi was surprising, but perfectly introduced San, Moro, and the wolves without a long drawn-out useless backstory. She's a girl who's raised by a wolf god. There isn't much more to say than that. The story itself is fantastic, like I said, but what I thought was the best part was the relationships between the human characters, Ashitaka, San, and Lady Eboshi. None of them are neither good or bad people, and all of them have good and bad qualities about them. Yes, Lady Eboshi is trying to kill the forest god, but it's to finally protect her people and make it easier for them to live out their daily lives. San is trying to kill Lady Eboshi for that reason, but it's because Irontown, the town Lady Eboshi runs, is slowly killing the wildlife around her, and Ashitaka is trying to get his demon curse cured before he dies, and Lady Eboshi and San are the only ones that can help him. Ashitaka suffers from a bit of the main character syndrome and constantly spouts mere violence, but in this case it seems to be earned. He has everything to gain by working with both the gods of the forest and the people of Irontown, and it all falls flat if they fight. One thing you might have noticed if you're around my age, you may see where the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender got their inspirations from. I mean, when I saw the Nightwalker for the first time, the first thing I thought of was one of the creators, Brian Konietzko, said during one of the first episodes of the Legend of Korra commentary,
"One of the biggest inspirations for the entire Avatar universe was the work of Hayao Miyazaki, and I just remember at a time in my career when I was particularly disenchanted with working on American animated sitcoms, and I just wanted to make something really earnest and heartfelt and sincere."
Overall, I do love this movie a lot, enough to buy it on DVD like you saw in the beginning. The animation is some of the best I've ever seen, and the world created here is interesting all the way through. So much so that a small part of me wants to know what happens happens after it ends. Like, what does the new Irontown look like? What are San and Ashitaka doing 25 years later? I don't actually want that, but it's things like that keep me coming back to these movies. I really have no idea how Miyazaki and the other people in this production thought of all these ideas and moving parts for this film. In terms of creativity and animation, it may be unmatched. The setup for the plot is really simple and easy to follow, and it slowly introduces all of the bizarre aspects of the film so you're not overwhelmed. It feels like a Dr. Seuss story, if I'm being honest. Like, for example, the living balls of soot that carry the coals to heat the boiler. After about 30 seconds or so, I found myself saying, yeah, okay, this is just how this place works. I really did love the layout of Yubaba's bathhouse, and honestly, I could watch an entire 2-hour experience of just that. How the water gets sent up to the tubs, what each of the foreman's tokens do, the different bath formulas, and all the different spirits. For me, the film is at its best when we were watching the world work from a distance. We're just pulled into a different odd world and we just accept it because it's so interesting. Taking the viewpoint of a little girl really is the best choice for this experience, because being a kid, we're more likely to accept our surroundings and just assume it's normal. If we're already in that mindset, it's easier to accept the fact that, yeah, giant frogs clean out bathtubs for disembodied spirits to relax in. That's just how the world works. Although there are some things during this movie where I said to myself, yeah, I'm not a fan of this. The biggest one for me was the relationship between Chihiro and Haku. The way Haku treated Chihiro in the beginning was the most wishy-washy and passive-aggressive way you can treat someone, that I legitimately thought that he was going to be revealed as the big villain in the end. I was confused because Lin, Chihiro's other friend, keeps telling her not to trust Haku because he's supposed to be Yubaba's assistant. But after Haku helps Chihiro remember her name and gives her clothes back, it's pretty clear he's supposed to be friendly. Although the main thing I didn't like was the ending. They basically explained their entire relationship in about 15 seconds, saying how Chihiro lost her shoe in a river and Haku's a river spirit and all the stuff we had no way of knowing. It doesn't add anything to the plot, it's just kind of there for the sake of an ending. They had small hints of this throughout the film, but the hints never gave me enough information for me to believe the true love relationship that the film was trying to sell.
Gosh, I wish Luke bitched more.
Yubaba's baby was also kind of disturbing and gross, but I think he was supposed to be, so I can let that go, I guess. In the English dub, the baby was played by Tara Strong, and this role just gave me even more respect for her talents. The parts where I enjoyed this film the most was when no one was talking, and the characters were just kind of existing. I mentioned the extensive bathhouse, but the train to Swamp Bottom and Zeniba's house was really relaxing too. The term I would use to describe this film is relaxing. This is a film you can tell that every ounce of creativity was made to make this as interesting as possible. One example I can think of is Zeniba's lamp on our walkway. It's just a disembodied arm with a lamp in it, and it's hopping along, guiding Chihiro and No Face to Zeniba's house. But then it jumps up to the top of the walkway, holding itself up and the lamp. This is just one example of a million little things like this that make this whole world feel alive. Overall, I would say I prefer Princess Mononoke a bit more, but that's like saying I prefer an ice cream sundae over a chocolate cake. I will gladly experience either one over and over again. This one is probably my least favorite of the three in this video. Again, that's not saying much since I still think it's fantastic. If Princess Mononoke was an ice cream sundae and Spirited Away was a chocolate cake, then Howl's Moving Castle is just really, really good cornbread.
Maybe I should just eat the DVDs.
My main issues with it, again, is the English voice acting. The Japanese voices are just 10 times better, but this time my only complaint is Christian Bale. Like, yeah, he's got the deep voice that I think Howl would have, but Bale just doesn't have the range that I think is needed to portray a brooding, angsty teen that also has a sensitive side like Howl. Howl to me was supposed to be a powerful sorcerer, but he's also a borderline child. He's insecure and unravels easily. Bale's performance makes him sound like a 30-year-old man. Oh well, it's not like Christian Bale holds a grudge or anything. But Bale just doesn't have the range that I think is needed to portray a brooding, angsty teen that also has a sensitive side like Howl. Bale just doesn't have the range. 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 I do love the castle itself. I love Calcifer, and I even love Billy Crystal as Calcifer. The animation on the moving castle is so awesome to look at, and the film is really good at giving you a sense of scale. It really does look like something straight out of a child's imagination, although it is based on a children's book, so. Last thing about the voice acting, Josh Hutcherson did great as Markle. Imagine being in a Studio Ghibli film directed by the master of animation himself, and then doing Zathura directly after.
Give me a juice box, biatch.
Unlike the previous films, this one does feel a bit more toned down. What I mean by this is, this feels like it's more for kids than the other two. Granted, there are still references to war and burning down villages with flying battleships, but it's more implied, and we don't actually see any death, like lopping off someone's head with a bow or consuming spirits whole like the previous films. In fact, I was out loud laughing when Sophie in The Witch of the Waste was going up the stairs to the royal palace. The tone shift was a bit jarring, but none of it was bad. I loved Sophie's character. She was so good as an old woman that I thought she was going to stay as one for the rest of the film, but no. And I'm glad she got to be young again, but I kind of missed old Sophie by the end. Overall, with this one, I'm glad that I watched it, but it wasn't the wondrous work of animation that I felt the previous two were. I'll gladly watch it again at some point, but not before watching Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away again first. These films were fantastic, and I'll definitely be watching some more in the future, and when I do, I'll definitely make a video about them. I hope I haven't pissed off too many diehard anime fans, and if I have, it's not that big of a deal. I'm sure I'll piss them off even more when I eventually make a video on JoJo Part 2. Okay, thanks for watching, bye bye.